Welcome, intrepid civics scholars. At this point, you might be asking yourself, why is this man going on about science? In the end, isn't politics just, personal opinions? No. No, it's not. When non-scientists talk about politics, they freely express opinions that have no factual basis. Because of this course, you're not going to be that guy. When people express political opinions that have no factual support, they are failing in their civic duty to stay informed about issues in their community. Now, who says that's a responsibility? Who says we have to be informed? Well, the state of Washington, for one. That's why civics is a graduation requirement. This course is here to equip you with the tools you need to be a good citizen, with the knowledge you need to be a good citizen. But it's not just the state of Washington. Civics is a required course in lots of states. And the requirement to stay informed on civic issues, I didn't make it up. The U.S. government says that you're supposed to do this. This is the U.S. CIS, right, Citizenship and Immigration Services. These are the folks who help immigrants qualify for citizenship. This is their list of the rights and responsibilities of citizenship. You will see a high degree of overlap between the rights and responsibilities that we went over in Lesson 1 and the ones that the U.S. government recommends here. My list, frankly, was a little more accurate because, not all citizens have the right to vote. For example, all of you who are under 18 don't have the right to vote. In many states, ex-felons don't have the right to vote. But here is the responsibility to stay informed of the issues affecting your community. I would argue that if this is something we expect of immigrants who come to this country and become citizens, then it is definitely also something that we should expect of people who were born here. Now, the list also includes respecting the rights, beliefs, and opinions of others, and we will always do that here, though as scholars, we privilege fact-supported claims. But dude, in the end, we're all entitled to our opinions, right? Constitutionally, absolutely, right? The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees us freedom of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom to say and to write our opinions, to publish our opinions. However, as scholars in this course, being entitled to your opinion is complicated because in here we are all political scientists. And here we hold ourselves to a higher standard because we are scholars of civics. Now, this is a Bible verse, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's Jesus speaking in John 8:32. And no, I am not providing religious indoctrination here. This is engraved on the walls of a U.S. government building. This is the headquarters of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, the U.S. spy agency. This is the motto of the CIA. And it's also our motto. It's cowboy up, yo. We are scholars, and scholars fearlessly seek truth. That is our task in this course this year. Civics scholars test claims with evidence. When people say stuff, when people claim stuff, when people make assertions, we're like, oh yeah, prove it. And when a claim has poor support, no factual basis, or very scanty, limited factual basis, we reject those claims as scholars. When we find claims that have support, but that support is imperfect, we refine those claims to bring them in line with the evidence. Well, what about claims that have perfect support? No such thing. In science, absolute truth is approachable, but it is unreachable. We never get final, ultimate, absolute proof. The scientific facts that you imagine to be true, the idea that the Earth revolves around the sun, the rough sphericity of the Earth, the theory of gravity, the theory of evolution by natural selection, these are theories. They're almost truths, right? They're undefeated ideas. The overwhelming preponderance of the evidence suggests that they are true, but scientists always hold open the possibility that more evidence will emerge that will complicate and force us to refine claims with imperfect support. Now, on the previous slide, I cited a Bible verse that's been adopted as the motto by the U.S. CIA, but even our founders generally supported this fearless search for truth. Even Thomas Jefferson, one of the least religious of the founders. Jefferson thought there was wisdom in the Bible, but he also thought there was a lot of nonsense, so he made his own Bible. He cut out the parts that he thought were not useful, and he ended up with a very, very short document. It's called the Jefferson Bible. You can get it on Amazon. Anyway, here's Jefferson in recommending a fearless search for truth. When he retired from the presidency, Jefferson devoted his retirement to supporting the University of Virginia and promoting education generally, and he argued that education should be based on the illimitable freedom of the human mind. That means unlimited freedom. For here, in education, we are not afraid to follow truth wherever it may lead, nor to tolerate any error so long as reason is left free to combat it. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. There's Jefferson. Oh, man, are you telling me that this course might change my political opinions? Some people might feel threatened by that prospect. Well, it will change some of your beliefs if you fearlessly follow truth. If you're gutless and you're unwilling to follow the truth, then yeah, you can keep all the opinions you have right now. I don't recommend it. No matter what you believe now, whether you are leftist, liberal, conservative, moderate, reactionary, doesn't matter. No matter what you believe now, in this course, you're going to discover that some of your beliefs lack factual support. Now, I will recommend that you ditch those beliefs. But, in the end, it's up to you, right? Everyone's also going to discover beliefs that have some factual support, but it's complicated and they might need refining. I suggest that you keep those beliefs and you do that refining. Now, this gallery over here to the right is sort of an illustration of that principle at work. Everyone to the right is a scholar of some kind. This guy is Noam Chomsky. He is a leftist scholar. He's a historian by trade, and I'm sorry, no, he's not. He started out as a linguist, and then he became this all-purpose social scientist and writes a lot about history and politics now. Anyhow, Chomsky started out as a leftist, and he is still a leftist in his old age. So the more he learned, the more he doubled down on being a leftist. Now, to his right is Melissa Harris Perry, who is a political scientist. She is a liberal, and she has remained consistently liberal in her career too. But to her right is a wild card. That is Joe Lieberman. Joe Lieberman was a Democratic senator from Connecticut. He ran for vice president with Al Gore in the year 2000. And, they lost, obviously. He was never vice president. So he continued serving in the Senate, but then something unusual happened. Lieberman, who'd always been a moderate Democrat, eventually left the Democratic Party. He declared himself an independent. And he has remained politically independent in retirement. Recently, he endorsed Susan Collins, the Republican senator from Maine, for re-election. Right, so this is a guy trained as a political scientist, later went to law school. Lots of political scientists end up in law school. who, over the course of his career, has made some ideological changes. Here's another example of that. This is George Will. George Will is one of the most famous and respected conservative columnists ever. Big supporter of conservative Republicans from Reagan through George W. Bush. He writes for the Washington Post and he's on TV a lot. However, George Will has now left the Republican Party and declared himself an independent because he disagrees with much of what Trump has done with the Republican Party. So he, like Lieberman, has changed his trajectory over the course of his career. And then on the right, bottom right, this guy, this is Victor Davis Hanson. He's a historian, and he's always been conservative, and he has gotten more conservative as time goes on. He is a staunch supporter of President Trump, has written at least one book talking about how great Trump is, and the moral of the story is that all these people are distinguished scholars. They've written books. They're highly respected, and they're all over the map ideologically. Right? Here is further evidence. This is a study by the Pew Research Center. They're a distinguished polling outfit. This is showing you the effect of political knowledge on people's partisan affiliation. And you will see that whether people have low political knowledge, they don't know much about politics, about half and half, Democrat and Republican, or a moderate level of political knowledge, about half and half, a few more Republicans than Democrats, or high political knowledge, pretty close again, a few more Democrats than Republicans, but basically this is a wash, right? There is barely a statistically significant difference at any level, right? So it's not like getting more knowledgeable about politics is going to force you into one camp or the other, right? In other words, your level of political knowledge does not predict your ideology. It does not predict your beliefs. The purpose of this course is not to make you more liberal or more conservative or more moderate or more anything. The purpose of this course is so that you can understand the factual basis for the things you believe so that your political behavior will be based on factual evidence and not just on made-up stuff or feelings that are ungrounded in objective reality. In other words, you're going to become an intellectual leader in whatever flavor of political ideology you settle in.